This is our podcast on the Oregon Trail by Nate Trevick.
I'm Zach Largren.
And Charlie Rikes. Nate and Zach, what do you think the Oregon Trail was?
I think of the video game, people dying from diseases and bandits attacking people.
I think of something a little bit different. I think of Lewis and Clark when I hear someone talk about the Oregon Trail. They explored across the United States starting in May of 1804 all the way to September of 1806. I think of the route they took to get from Missouri to the West Coast. It was an attempt for Americans to go after the American dream that the West was said to have. I believe this came after the Louisiana Purchase that greatly expanded the United States in 1803.
The Oregon Trail was actually a wagon route that spanned over 2,000 miles that hundreds of thousands of settlers utilized to get from Missouri to the West Coast. This map is a great visual image of it.
Was this map made by the settlers that took the route?
No, this map was made by the U.S. Senate in 1846. They assembled the map based off the journals of Captain John C. Fremont and the sketches of Charles Puce. This map is 7 different parts put together.
Who are John C. Fremont and Charles Puce? Have you heard of them, Zach?
I actually have heard of John C. Fremont and Charles Puce. Fremont was a famous frontiersman. He gained the nickname the Great Pathfinder because of how skilled he was as an explorer. And Puce was a German immigrant and was a topographer on Fremont expeditions.
Zach, did you know that Fremont led 4 expeditions of the western parts of the U.S., became the military governor of California in 1846, was one of the earliest senators of California, and was the first Republican candidate for president in 1856?
I did not know that. What were his expeditions like? I cannot imagine traveling over 2,000 miles. It's hard enough to get up for class in the morning. Where did he go?
His first expedition, he was surveying and mapping the route fur traders used to cross the Rockies. Starting in Missouri, he then traveled through Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado. The route was actually what became the Oregon Trail. On his second expedition, he took a more southern route of crossing the Rockies, where he explored south of the Columbia River.
What was the terrain like? It couldn't have been easy crossing the Rocky Mountains.
From what I have read and what I've heard, it was a really rough and long ride.
Yeah, this was a tough journey. James Vance Jr., a professor at Berkeley, has done extensive research on the trail and said that success was measured by arrival on the Pacific coast, not by what it cost and how much could be carried. The biggest reason why people saw the simple fact of reaching the coast as a success was because so many people died on the trail. Roughly 20,000 people died on the trail. And just like Nate said, it was a tough ride because of the terrain and the wagons. It was no easy task taking a wagon over the terrain.
Why would people bring wagons on a route if the terrain was so bad?
Well, you have to remember that people were completely moving from the eastern parts of the United States to the West Coast. So they needed the wagons to carry their belongings. Food alone was hundreds of pounds. People would bring roughly 200 pounds of flour, 100 pounds of bacon, and they would also bring food such as rice, beans, dried fruits, coffee, and tea.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that journey would be worth it.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. With 20,000 people dying in such horrible conditions, what could be the reason for people to even try? I don't think I would.
People thought this journey could bring them a better life. They believed it was worth the risk. There was extreme economic hardships in the U.S., so people believed the frontier was a new opportunity. The idea of striking gold in California and getting rid of their hardships they were enduring was too good to pass up.
Wasn't the belief at the time that the land was God given to them, commonly called manifest destiny, also an ideology at the time?
Yeah, when people embarked on the Oregon Trail, Manifest Destiny was at its highest. Many churches wanted to show the Native Americans on the West Coast the so-called European way and colonize them. It was a way to validate the expansion of the United States into Native American tribal land.
So it wasn't really great for the Native Americans?
Yeah, like most things in American history, there was benefits for white Europeans, but not so much for Native Americans.
So it sounds like it was a lot more complicated than the video game Zach thought it was originally. It left out a lot of important stuff to the story.
Yeah, I hope more people understand that there's more to the Oregon Trail than it appears. Thanks for listening to our podcast.